You might not like it or agree, but I don't think the Phantom Troupe are going to survive the current Succession War arc that we are in. And you're possibly wondering, how on earth is that going to happen? How are the Phantom Troupe going to be just killed off just like that? To answer your question, it's not that straightforward, because as we know, Togashi is one clever dude, and he's particularly brutal in dispatching previous members of the troupe in previous chapters, and there's many factors that are coming into play for the demise of the troupe. So let's go over all of the possible angles that this could happen with right now. First of all, in the most recent chapters, Togashi blessed us with an origin for the Phantom Troupe, and boy, it was some good reading. We got to see the childhood of the troupe, and also we get to see the dark events that lead up into them becoming the grizzled killers that they are right now. Togashi wrote these chapters perfectly. They helped us form an even deeper understanding and an emotional connection to the characters right before putting them all through some of, if not one of the darkest chapters in Hunter x Hunter history, in my opinion. I won't go into details of the chapter. Instead, I highly suggest that you read chapters 395 through to 397 to see the full origin story of the troupe, because those couple of chapters alone put Hunter x Hunter at the top of the mountain of manga for me this year. Well, having just had these chapters and the events of these chapters come to pass, it then brings us around to a major storytelling aspect that Togashi is leaning on very heavily right now. The old give characters a heartwarming and tragic background / origin story before putting them through something even more tragic that will ultimately make their story come full circle and possibly lead to their deaths. Because if you haven't been paying attention, that is exactly what is happening right now. And let's be honest, the troupe aren't exactly in the win column after Hisoka recently murderized Shalnark and Kurapika, leaving only the following members of the troupe alive: Chrollo, Machi, Franklin, Finks, Benola Nov, Beitan, Shizuku, Illumi, Haruto, and Nobunaga. And speaking about Nobunaga, let's talk about him for a second, because although he was the one to reminisce and lead us into the flashback for the troupe origin, he wasn't all that present for it, but the fact that he was the one that leads us into the flashback makes me think he is the next troupe member to fall. The reason being is Nobunaga is right now is the only Spider member who is alone with someone who isn't among the ranks of the Phantom Troupe, and that person happens to be Henry. And while I don't think Henry will kill or even be able to even touch Nobunaga here in a straight up fight, I'm not ruling out the possibility of Nobunaga being put into the line of fire by Henry, considering how loyal he is to the Hxh family. We also have to consider the possibility that while Nobunaga is very experienced, the chances are that a freaky Nen user who might be the perfect counter to him is sat amongst the ranks of the Haley family right now. And one thing a lot of people tend to forget about is that in a battle of Nen, anything can happen. A prime example is Killua vs Yuppie. Yuppie, while obviously stronger and had way more strength than Killua, got his ass whooped by Killua, who was weaker but more experienced. And there is the chance that that someone with that incredible strength but lack of experience may sit among the Haley family right now, but their ability is yet to be shown. And at the rate that Morena is pumping out Nen users, the chances are that they are growing by the moment. We only have to look at Tserriednich for an example of this. Next is the wild card of the series, Hisoka. The man may potentially be one of, if not the strongest in the series right now. Before you guys come at me with the pitchforks, hear me out. We all know that post-mortem Nen is a thing, and it's also incredibly powerful. And the reason it's such an incredibly powerful thing is because you're literally trading your life in exchange for an extreme amount of power. Most Nen use comes with a restriction, as we all know. Prime example is what Gon achieved. In exchange for many years of his life and never being able to use Nen again, Gon was able to forcibly age his body to a point he could fight and kill Pito, someone who was levels above Gon prior to that achievement, which we can all agree is one of the strongest feats in the series. One of the strongest, by the way. During that fight, Pito couldn't land a single hit on Gon, and it wasn't until she was killed in a brutal manner that an ability was cast via post-mortem Nen from Pito to kill Gon. That post-mortem Nen was able to slice Gon's arm clean off. Gon had to put everything into one final attack in order to destroy that ability cast by Pito, and we all saw the state that Gon ended up in after that fight. Now, knowing all this, let's look at what Hisoka has managed. Hisoka is the only one we know of in the series so far to have survived death by using his Nen. Hisoka made a pact for his Nen to bring him back to life after his death. He paid the ultimate price for an incredible incredible amount of aura and nen power. When he woke up, he immediately healed himself. He made himself a new hand and a new leg. And not long after this, he runs into Shalnark and Kurapika and dispatches them with incredible ease. I think it's a safe bet to say that Hisoka, as we know him right now, who isn't going to give his opponents an advantage in the setting of their fight, is going to decimate whoever stands in front of him. And Hisoka is currently sat on board the Black Whale on its merry voyage to the Dark Continent, along with all of the troop members, all looking for him to get revenge for the deaths of Kurapika and Shalnark. Then, if Hisoka wasn't bad enough of a threat lurking around the corners, ready to throw hands on sight with any of the members of the troop, we then have Tserriednich, a threat I think is greatly overlooked right now and one we haven't seen in a little while. Tserriednich has no real reason to interfere with the troop at the moment, as he sealed himself away in his room to learn Nen, and learning Nen at an incredible pace, might I add, with him even developing a Nen ability already allowing him to basically see into the future. However, with Tserriednich cutting ties to the Haley family and the troop cooperating with the Zhiyu and Char families right now to find the Haley hideout, Tserriednich may find uses for the troop and then dispose of them once they were done. So right now we consider Tserriednich a wild card on the field who was basically just operating for his own pleasure, and he might end up turning into something similar to Hisoka, who now he's gained this incredible Nen ability might find worthy opponents to fight, and who else on the ship is more of a worthy opponent than one of the members of the Phantom Troupe. Then on top of all this, we have Kurapika on board of the ship, who I'm pretty sure still isn't aware that the Phantom Troupe are even on the same ship as him, and considering Kurapika's overall goal and hatred and for revenge against the Phantom Troupe for the Kirta massacre, we all know how it's going to go down once Kurapika crosses paths with any member of the troop, and considering just how smart and driven Kurapika is, not forgetting that some of his Nen abilities were made specifically with the spiders in mind, I don't think I need to explain Kurapika and his hatred even more for the troop any further. Overall, right now, the troop doesn't look to be in a great position, story-wise and just setting-wise. The implications of Togashi's writing in the previous flashback invoking an emotional response for the reader, making you sympathize with the troop and their story. It seems to be foreshadowing their demise. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the theory? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments below, and make sure, if you enjoyed the video, to make sure to subscribe and like the video. And if you want to support me even further, consider becoming a member to the channel, as it really does help me out. But that's everything from me. Catch you all guys in the next one. Much love, big kisses, bye bye.